Welcome back to God Maths. This is where mathematical literacy begins. Before we start with today's lesson, let's check out the solutions to our previous assignments. Those are the solutions to the previous assignments. If you had any extra difficulty, you can contact us via WhatsApp on the numbers given in the video description. Now let's get started with today's lesson. Today we'll look at equations that involve brackets and those that involve fractions. We'll start with those that involve brackets, where we'll basically learn how to remove the brackets in the equation by expansion. Let's take our first example. So in this example, we'll first learn how to remove these brackets, and we can do so by expansion. Let's check out the solution. The first step in solving this problem is by removing the brackets. And we remove brackets by multiplying the number outside the bracket by the numbers that are inside the bracket. And so 2x, 2 will multiply x to give us 2x. Then 2 will multiply positive 5 to give us positive 10. We have plus 3x, and that is equal to negative 10. We'll solve this equation either by balancing or by grouping of like terms. Let's use the common one, which is the grouping of like terms. In grouping like terms, we will lift the number term at the left-hand side of the equation to the right-hand side. And then at the left-hand side, we will be left with 2x plus 3x. When we move to the right-hand side, we have negative 10 there. Then this positive 10 at the left-hand side will cross the equal sign to the right-hand side, and therefore it becomes negative 10. 2x plus 3x will give us 5x, and that will be equal to negative 10 minus 10 gives negative 20. We divide through by the coefficient of x, which is 5, so that x will be equal to negative 20 divided by 5, which will give us negative 4. Let's take our second example under this type of linear equation. This is example 2. So like we did in the first example, the first thing to do is to remove the brackets in the equation by expanding, where we will multiply the number outside the bracket by those that are inside the bracket. And so at the left hand side, we have 8 minus 9x. When we move to the right hand side, negative 3 will multiply 2x, and that will give us negative 6x. Negative 3 will multiply positive 2, and that will give us negative 6. Then we have minus 6. We'll solve this simple equation by grouping of like terms, where we will lift the terms that contain the variable to the left-hand side, and the terms that contain the terms that are numbers will move to the right-hand side. So at the left-hand side, we have a variable term, negative 9x. Then Negative 6x, which is also a variable term, will have to cross the equal sign to the left hand side, and then it becomes positive 6x. At the right hand side, we have negative 6, and then 8 at the left hand side will cross the equal sign to the right hand side, and so it becomes negative 8. Negative 9x plus 6x will give us negative 3x, and that will be equal to negative 6 minus 8 will give us negative 20. Since negative 3 is a coefficient of x, we will divide both sides by negative 3. Then negative 3 here will cancel negative 3, so that x will stand alone, and it will be equal to negative 20 divided by negative 3. Negative cancels negative, and x will be equal to 20 divided by 3. Let's take our third example. In this example, we have brackets at both sides of the equation, and both brackets need to be expanded so that we will have a simple linear equation where we will use either balancing or grouping of like terms to solve. So let's check out the solution. In expanding the brackets, the number outside the bracket will multiply the numbers that are inside the brackets. And so at the left hand side, we will have 4x. Positive 2 times x will give us positive 2x. Then positive 2 times positive 5 will give us positive 10. And that is equal to, we have 7 at the right hand side. Negative 3 times 2x will give us negative 6x. And then negative 3 times negative 3 will give us positive 9. Then we will group like terms to solve this simple equation. Negative 6x will be lifted from the right hand side to the left hand side, and so it becomes positive 6x. Then at the right hand side we have 7, we have plus 9, and then positive 10 will also move to the right hand side and become negative 10. Here 4x, 2x and 6x will give us 12x, and that is equal to 7 plus 9 is 16 minus 10 will give us 6. We want to find the value of x, so we divide through by the coefficients of x, so that x is now equal to 6 over 12. Since 6 can divide 12, we cancel out, and x is equal to 1 over 2. Next, we will look at the equations that involve fractions. Let's go through our first example. We have x over 2, 1 over 3, and that's equal to 5. In solving equations that involve fractions, the basic thing is that we must find the LCM of the denominators. Here, our denominators are 2 and 3, and the LCM of 2 and 3 is equal to 6. Then when we have our LCM, we multiply each term of the equation by our LCM. So we are going to multiply the first term by the LCM. Then we multiply the second term by the LCM. And the last term, which is 5, will also be multiplied by the LCM. 2 cancels 6, that gives us 3. 3 cancels 6, that gives us 2. And here we are going to have 3 times 6 times x, which will give us 3x, plus 2 times 1 will give us 2, and then 6 times 5 is 30. So 3x is equal to 30 2 crosses the equal sign to become minus 2. 3x is then equal to 28. We divide both sides by 3. And x is equal to 28 over 3. Now let's take our second example under this subtopic. In our previous example, we had a fraction at only one side of the equal sign. But here, we have fractions at both sides of the equal sign. And we'll still go through the same procedure by finding the LCM of the denominators. In finding the LCM, we consider all the denominators, whether they are the left-hand side or the right-hand side. So here, our denominators are 4, 2, and then 2. So the LCM of 4 and 2 is equal to 4. Then the next thing is to multiply each term by the LCM of the denominators. And so we are going to multiply through by 4, which is the LCM of the denominators. Four cancels 4 to give us 1. 2 cancels 4 and we have 2. 2 cancels 4 here and we have 2 again. Then the 1 outside this bracket is going to multiply everything that is inside the brackets. 1 times x will give us x, and then 1 times negative 1 will give us negative 1. When we come here, it is positive 2. When it multiplies x, we will have plus 2x. And then when positive 2 multiplies positive 1, we will have positive 2. And that is equal to 2 times 1 is 2. Then we will group like terms here by lifting the number terms to the right-hand side of the equation. So we will have x plus 2x at the left-hand side, which is this term and this term. At the right-hand side of the equation, we have 2 already. Positive 2 here will cross to become negative 2. Then negative 1 will cross to become positive 1. X plus 2x will give us 3x, and that is equal to 2 minus 2 is 0 plus 1, that gives us 1. Because we are finding x, we divide both sides by 3. And then x is equal to 1 divided by 3. In our next example, we will take an equation that involves both brackets and fractions at the same time. In this example, we have both fractions and brackets at the same time, and they are both sides of the equation. Let's check out the solution. Here, when we have bracket and fraction at the same time, the first thing we do is to remove the fractions by multiplying each term by the LCM of the fractions. Our denominators here are 3 and 5, and the LCM of 3 and 5 is 15. So we multiply each term of the equation by 15, and that will give us 15 times the first term minus 15 times the second term, that is equal to 15 times at the right hand side. We have this term plus 15 times 2x. Let's simplify that. 3 will cancel 15 to give us 5. 5 cancels 15 to give us 3. And so we have no fraction left in our equation again. 5 times 1 will give us 5. In our bracket we have x plus 2. Minus 15 times 4 gives us 16. 3 times 1 will give us 3. In our bracket we have x plus 15 times 2x will give us 30x. Then the next thing is to expand the bracket, which we have done previously. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times positive 2 is 10. minus 60, and that's equal to 3x plus 30x. Now let's group like terms by bringing all the variable terms to the left hand side and sending the number terms to the right hand side. So we have 5x. The variable term 3x will cross the equal sign, and the variable term 30x will also cross the equal sign. Now when this crosses the equal sign, it becomes negative 3x. This also crosses to become negative 30x. Then at the right hand side of the equation, we will transfer the number terms across the equal sign. And so positive 10 crosses to become negative 10, and then negative 60 also crosses to become positive 60. Then 5x minus 3x minus 30x, that will give us 28, negative 28x, and that is equal to negative 10 plus 60 will give us 50. We divide through by negative 28. Then x will be equal to 50 over negative 28, which will give us negative 25 over 14. So we will take our assignment for this lesson. This is your assignment for this lesson. The answers will be given to you in our next lesson, where we will treat word problems under linear equations. Before you sign out, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. See you in our next lesson.